Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai. Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shamakun Radhakun Giri Govardhana ki jai. Shri Vrindavan Dhama ki jai. Shri Mayapur Dhama ki jai. Yamuna Mai ki jai. Ganga Mai ki jai. Tulsi Devi ki jai. Bhakti Devi ki jai. Harinam Sankirtan ki jai. Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Gaura Premanande Hari Hari Bol. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna. Grateful to be here with all of you. Dear Philadelphia Yatra. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, The Cosmic Manifestation, Chapter 4, Text 1. Sutta Uvacha Vyasaker iti vachas tatvanishchayam atmanaha upadharya matim krishne autareya satim vidhat. Sutta Uvacha Vyasaker iti vachas tatvanishchayam atmanaha upadharya matim krishne autareya satim vidhat. Sutta Uvacha Vyasaker iti vachas tatvanishchayam atmanaha upadharya matim krishne autareya satim gadhat. Please chant, dear devotees.
Sutta uvacha Vyasaker iti vachas tattvanischayam atmana upadharya matim krishne autareya satim vyadhat.
Suto uvacha bhaya sakerite vachas tatta nishayam atmanaha upadhraya matim krishne autareya satim bhayadhat. Hare Krishna.
Sutta uvacha Vyasaker iti vachas tattvanischayam atmana upadharaya matim krishne autareya satim vyadhat.
All right, thank you all. So, synonyms. Sutta Uvacha, Sutta Goswami said, Vyasake of Shukadev Goswami, iti, thus, vacha, speeches, tattva, nischayam, that which verifies the truth, atmana, in the self, upadharaya, just having realized, matim, concentration of the mind, Krishna, unto Lord Krishna, Autareya, the son of Uttara, Satyam, chaste, Vyadhat, applied. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. Sutta Goswami said, Maharaj Parikshit, the son of Uttara, after hearing the speeches of Shukadev Goswami, which were all about the truth of the self, applied his concentration faithfully upon Lord Krishna. Purport. The word satim is very significant. This means existing and chaste. And both imports are perfectly applicable in the case of Maharaj Parikshit. The whole Vedic adventure is to draw one's attention entirely unto the lotus feet of Lord Krishna without any diversion, as instructed in the Bhagavad Gita 15:15. Fortunately, Maharaj Parikshit had already been attracted to the Lord from the very beginning of his body, in the womb of his mother. In the womb of his mother, he was struck by the Brahmastra atomic bomb released by Ashwatthama. But by the grace of the Lord, he was saved from being burnt by the fiery weapon. And since then, the king continuously concentrated his mind upon Lord Krishna, which made him perfectly chaste in devotional service. So, by natural sequence, he was a chaste devotee of the Lord. And when he further heard from Srila Shukadev Goswami that one should worship the Lord only and no one else, even though full of all desires or desireless, his natural affection for Krishna was strengthened. We have already discussed these topics. To become a pure devotee of Lord Krishna, two things are very much essential, namely having a chance to be born in the family of a devotee and having the blessings of a bona fide spiritual master. By the grace of Lord Krishna, Parikshit Maharaj had both opportunities. He was born in a family of such devotees as the Pandavas. And just to continue the dynasty of the Pandavas and show them special favor, the Lord specifically saved Maharaj Parikshit, who later on, by the arrangement of the Lord, was cursed by the boy of a Brahmin and was able to get the association of such a spiritual master as Shukadev Goswami. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is said that a fortunate person, by the mercy of the spiritual master and Lord Krishna, achieves the path of devotional service. This was perfectly applicable in the case of Maharaj Parikshit. By way of being born in a family of devotees, he automatically came in touch with Krishna. And after being so contacted, he constantly remembered him. Consequently, Lord Krishna gave the king a further chance for development in devotional service by introducing him to Shukadev Goswami, a stalwart devotee of the Lord with perfect knowledge in self-realization. And by hearing from a bona fide spiritual master, he was perfectly able to concentrate his chaste mind further upon Lord Krishna as a matter of course. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnana Jana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dati Swapadhatikam Vansha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Eva Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Hare Krishna. Read the translation one more time. Sutta Goswami said, Maharaj Parikshit, the son of Uttara, after hearing the speeches of Shukadev Goswami, which were all about the truth of the self, applied his concentration faithfully upon Lord Krishna. So, dear assembled devotees in the digital world, thank you for allowing me the chance to share some of my reflections on this verse, and I look forward to hearing some of yours as well. One thing that struck me was Srila Prabhupada in the second paragraph, explaining the two essential factors in devotional service and the unfortunate reality that we are generally lacking one of those two. Srila Prabhupada says two things are essential: to be born in a family of devotees and to hear from a self-realized spiritual master. And so I was thinking, if you're trying to cook something and you're missing an essential ingredient, then it won't come out right. And so how do we understand that if we weren't born in a family of devotees, then we're missing one of the essential components that Srila Prabhupada says we need for devotional service? So what can we do? And the conclusion I came to is we need to pursue the second item with much more vigor. So if we had the good fortune of being born in a family of devotees, then wonderful. Then, like Maharaj Parikshit, we can take full advantage of the opportunity and be fixed on Krishna from the very beginning of life. But if we weren't, as most of us here, I believe, we're not born in the family of devotees, then we need to very carefully and very intensely and very regularly hear the instructions of the self-realized souls. So coming here to this Zoom Sangha is one way you can do that. And it's inspiring to see all of your consistency in hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. And there were three specific ways that I wanted to touch on. And this isn't comprehensive, but this is just three aspects of hearing from self-realized souls that I think are important based on the example of Maharaj Parikshit. So how do we hear properly? We hear properly by hearing from the right source, hearing the right information, and having the right concentration. So the right source is clear from this verse. Maharaj Parikshit was hearing from Shukadev Goswami, who was so self-realized that he actually chose to stay in the womb of his mother for 16 years because he knew that if he were to come out, he would likely be influenced by the material energy and could get distracted in his self-realization quest. Or as Srila Prabhupada says in the purport here, the adventure, the Vedic adventure. So Srila Shukadev Goswami, on his Vedic adventure, stayed in the womb for 16 years. And when he finally did come out, he immediately ran away from his family. And he was able to come back when his father had some of his disciples recite verses from Srimad Bhagavatam, which attracted the mind of Shukadev Goswami. And although he was perfectly self-realized, he was attracted by the sound, by the deep meaning, by the rasa of Srimad Bhagavatam, and learned the whole Srimad Bhagavatam from Srila Vyasadeva. And in the third verse of Srimad Bhagavatam, Srila Vyasadeva describes that Srila Shukadev Goswami was fully relishing the Srimad Bhagavatam, just like one eating a fruit. And when it has been, when a mango has been pricked by the beak of a parrot, it tastes even sweeter. So in that way, because Shukadev Goswami was relishing the Srimad Bhagavatam, when he passed it on, it became even more sweet. And Srila Vyasadeva tells us, Muhura ho rasika bhuvi bhavuka. O you rasika devotees, relish Srimad Bhagavatam. Hear this with great attention, because it's coming from the mouth of the right source, from a self-realized soul, Shukadev Goswami. And he was so profoundly, obviously realized that when all of the sages saw him assembled around Maharaj Parikshit as he began to fast till death, they recognized his glories and immediately had him sit on the asana to speak Srimad Bhagavatam. They could see from his physical features that he was a qualified source to hear from. And at the beginning of this canto, you all heard the beginning of Srila Shukadev Goswami's teachings. And right off the bat, he's speaking profound truths and cutting through our illusions of material life, telling us that don't waste your life in simply making money, and don't waste your life just trying to enjoy your senses. There's much more than that. And so Shukadev Goswami progressively elevates our consciousness describing about the worship of demigods, describing about the universal form of the Lord, describing meditation on the supersoul through mystic yoga. And eventually in the last chapter, which you just finished, Shukadev explains the glories of bhakti and urges us all to take up the practice of bhakti. So Shukadev Goswami is our example here of the correct source to hear from. And Srimad Bhagavatam in the 11th canto describes further what the right source is of information. It says, Tasmad Gurum Prapadyeta Jigyasu Shreya Uttamam. If someone desires to know the highest truth, then they should surrender to a spiritual master. And the qualification of that spiritual master, Jigyasu Shreya Uttamam, Shabde Pare Janishnatam Brahmani Upashamashraya. So they must have realized all of the Vedic knowledge by deliberation. They've sufficiently considered it, applied it in their lives, and realized it. And they are not interested in material life. They're detached from the material world. So these are the qualifications of someone who is the right source to hear from. Srila Prabhupada also explains many, many times that the qualification of a guru is very simple. It's simply to repeat what they've heard from the previous acharyas. Just like someone who's in the top of a mango tree, if they want to get the mango down to the ground, they pass it one person to the next, down the tree to someone who's on the ground. And that same mango is received by the person on the ground. So the parampara is like that. All the knowledge comes originally from Krishna himself and is passed down one acharya to the next without change and is preserved in that way. But it's shared in a way that is according to the time and is relevant in its presentation. Srila Prabhupada also says in the beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam, the purport, that the acharya must present the same truth in a interesting way for the benefit of the audience. So not that we change what the truth is, but that the acharya must present it so that people will be more receptive, because language changes over time, culture changes over time. And so similar examples that were used by even Srila Prabhupada may not be relevant as much in today's age. And so we need to use the same philosophical truths that Srila Prabhupada and our previous acharyas gave, but with examples that people can understand and relate to. So these are a few thoughts on what it means to hear from the right source. So we also need to be cautious to hear the right information, because what we hear, what we put in our ears, profoundly affects our consciousness. The whole creation of the material world starts from sound. Sound is the most subtle, and sound transforms us. Students will go to universities and pay hundreds of thousands of dollars for sound. They're going into a classroom and listening to a professor vibrate sound. And it transforms them. It can make someone into a doctor. It can make someone into a lawyer. It can make someone, in the wrong way, if someone is hearing degraded sounds, into a criminal. Like we hear in the Krishna book, how Kamsa, by his wrong association, although he sometimes had flashes of good intention, he would be dragged down because the sound vibration from his demonic friends would influence him to do horrible things. So sound vibration is extremely powerful. And we need to be cautious to hear the right sound vibration and not the wrong ones. So in Nectar of Instruction, Rupa Goswami says we need to avoid prajalpa. He says there are 6 things that destroy our bhakti. Atyahara prayascha, prajalpo niyamagraha, janasangas chalalyamcha, shadir bhaktir vinashyati. Vinashyati, they destroy our bhakti. Those things are atyahara, or collecting too much or eating too much. Prayasa, over endeavor for material things that are very difficult to achieve. Prajalpa, unnecessary talk. Niyamagraha, following the rules ritualistically without understanding them, or neglecting the rules and regulations whimsically. Jana sangas, so being associated with worldly minded people. And lolya, greed. These things will destroy our bhakti. So prajalpa is an especially dangerous one and can sometimes be difficult to distinguish what is unnecessary talk. And so we have to be very discerning. We have to be very attentive during conversations, even with devotees, because the conversations can easily go into a wasteful or a destructive place. So there's different types of prajalpa. One type is just unnecessarily talking about news or current events, things that are not related to Krishna, and just going deeper and deeper into material subjects without any relation to Krishna. Of course, any subject can be connected with Krishna if someone is broad-minded enough. But we need to be cautious to keep it rooted in Krishna consciousness. It can be difficult if we're speaking with those who aren't practicing bhakti. And at the least, we can internally connect the conversation with Krishna. And if it's going on unnecessarily, we can excuse ourselves and be cautious not to stay in unnecessary, mundane conversations. So prajalpa, in this sense, is dangerous, but it's even more dangerous if we are engaging in or hearing criticism of other devotees. This is the first of the 10 offenses against the holy name, and we won't have any taste for chanting. Lord Chaitanya says in the Shikshastakam that he doesn't have it. Of course, he's playing the role of a conditioned soul. He's explaining that I have no taste for the holy name, na nuraga, because of an offensive mentality. And the criticism of devotees is especially dangerous. It's compared to a mad elephant by Lord Chaitanya in his teachings to Rupa Goswami. So this type of prajalpa is even more dangerous. So this is hearing the wrong information, but what we need to do is to hear the right information. Shreya Uttamam. In that same verse I was quoting earlier about the right source also explains the right information. We should be seeking Shreya Uttamam, the highest good. The sages in the forest of Naimisharanya, at the beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam, we hear that they are asking some essential questions to Suta Goswami. And one of them is, what is the highest good for all people at all times? So to ask about the highest good We need to have a compassionate heart, a selfless heart. So it requires purification. Otherwise, we won't really be interested in the highest good. We'll be interested in what's good for me, what's good for my family, what's good for my community, my country, but not the highest good. And even within ISKCON, we can become closed-minded and just be thinking in terms of what's good for my Sangha, what's good for my temple, what's good for my region, what's good for my God family, and not considering what is good for the entire devotional Sangha. Or even in the name of devotional service, we can hurt people in the world. In the past, devotees would go and distribute books and use very questionable methods, and were tricking people. So in the name of devotional service, we can be doing things that are not for the highest good. So we should be cautious and try to purify our hearts so that we can actually desire the highest good and actually do the highest good. And Lord Brahma also, in an amazing verse, actually, I believe this is Lord Krishna after explaining the Chatur Shloki, the four most essential verses in Srimad Bhagavatam. He says that somebody who's looking for the absolute truth should do so at all times and all places, both directly and indirectly. So he explains the whole essence of Bhagavatam and then says, all the time, everywhere, try to seek this truth. Try to seek the highest good. So this is hearing the right information, avoiding the wrong information, avoiding damaging, degrading sound vibrations, and developing this urge to hear about the highest good. And we will feel so happy if you actually desire welfare for others. It feels amazing. We all have experience of this. And I used to, before practicing devotional service, I would do Buddhist meditations. It's called metta, or the English translation, they said, is loving kindness meditation. And what you would do is start by meditating on somebody that you care about most, somebody you have great love for, and just feeling that love in your heart, feeling your affection for them. And then mentally considering somebody who you have not as close of a relationship with, maybe someone you have a strained relationship with, and trying to extend that same feeling of affection to them. And then doing the same thing for a stranger. Then expanding that sense of welfare, desiring the happiness of others to the entire country or to the entire planet or for all living beings. And I found it a very helpful meditation to expand my understanding of love. And this is actually the quality of a devotee, is para dukkha dukhi, para sukha sukhi. A devotee feels pain when others are in pain, and a devotee feels happiness when others are happy. Krishna also says that in the Bhagavad Gita, because someone knows their own happiness and distress, they can empathize and they understand that others feel happiness and stress. And when you live in this way, in this open-hearted way, then it feels fantastic. There's immense pleasure that you get by wishing others well. Srila Prabhupada would sign his letters, "Your ever well-wisher." And everybody would be happy wherever he went. So this is a wonderful state of a pure devotee. And little by little, by association with the instructions of Srila Prabhupada, we can develop this quality of desiring the highest good, desiring to know the highest good. And it's also important that we have this soft-heartedness, because we may have the highest knowledge, but if we're not doing it with a soft heart, then we can hurt people. Shastra is the scriptures. Shastra is a weapon. So we can use the Shastra as a Shastra if we aren't soft-hearted, if we don't have this compassion. So along with our development of knowledge, we need to develop affection, desire for others to be happy. And in fact, if you directly seek bhakti and not seeking knowledge, then you'll actually get knowledge anyway. Knowledge and detachment are a byproduct of bhakti. Vasudevi Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojita Janayate Ashu Vairagyam Jnanam Chayarahaitukam. In the beginning of Bhagavatam, we learned that simply by practicing bhakti very quickly, we can develop knowledge and detachment. So actually the most important thing is developing bhakti, developing love for Krishna, and therefore love for all of his creation, all of his devotees. All living beings actually are his devotees. So we should be cautious to not only have the right information, but have the right mood, the right attitude. So that is some thoughts. Those are some thoughts on the right information that we should receive. Last thing I'll speak on is the right concentration. And then I'd love to open up the discussion and hear from the rest of you. So please start to consider some thoughts you'd like to share. So in this verse, we hear that Maharaj Parikshit applied his concentration faithfully upon Lord Krishna. And Srila Prabhupada tells us that this word in the verse, satim, means chaste. So I looked up the word chaste in its etymology, and it's related to the word caste. And this word caste means pure, or like an unmixed race was the Portuguese casta racha, an unmixed race, or the Latin castus, meaning cut off or separated. So you can imagine in the past there would be families of brahmanas, or kshatriyas that were unmixed with those of other varnas. And so in this way they were unmixed. So this is the root of the word chaste. So I was thinking, of course, now in modern day India, the caste system is very perverted and is there's a lot of exploitation. So unfortunately, it's not preserved in its pure state. In theory, if there are pure leaders to implement it, it can work. But right now, it's not applied properly. But I was thinking, right concentration, chaste concentration of mind, if it's related to being cut off or separate or pure, then it means that we need to be very discerning about what we put in our consciousness. Just like Prajalpa, we were explaining the danger of allowing Prajalpa, allowing criticism to go into our consciousness. So we need to create a deep place in our consciousness, a shelter within our own heart, and to be very cautious to not allow impure things to enter there. There's an amazing verse in the Gita in chapter 9. Krishna also speaks on chaste consciousness. He says, Ananyas chintayanto. Chintayanta means concentration, and ananya means no other thing. So we're concentrating on nothing else but Krishna. Ananyas chintayanto mam. Ye jana paryupasate. Krishna says those who are properly engaged in devotional service in this way, they are thinking of nothing else but Krishna, then Tesham nitya viyuktanam yogakshemam vahamya. Unto them who are practicing in this proper way, I will preserve what they have and I'll carry what they lack. So we may not have been born in a family of devotees, as Srila Prabhupada said was essential. But if we can develop this type of chaste consciousness that Maharaj Parikshit has, then we can get all the help from Krishna that we need. Whatever lacking we have, okay, sure, maybe our upbringing was rough. Maybe there was a lot of ignorance and passion mixed in, and it's difficult to practice devotional service. I'm speaking for myself, at the least. So this is encouraging. All right, if I practice to think of nothing else, to keep my mind fixed on Krishna, and to practice devotional service properly, then Krishna will help me. Whatever good qualities I have, he will help me use those in his service. And whatever shortcomings I have, he will fill in the gaps and he'll take over for me. He will send devotees into my life who can balance out my lacking, who can carry what I'm lacking. And it might be a bit intimidating thinking, wow, thinking of nothing else but Krishna, that's a high standard. But if we try our best, Krishna will help us. Krishna is so kind. We know this because he says, even if you just offer me a little leaf or some water, I will accept it if you do it with love. He says, whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you offer, whatever austerities you do them for me. And he's pleased by this. So we start wherever we are and gradually work up from there, and Krishna will help us. We also see in the 12th chapter of the Gita, Krishna describing the best thing is to always think of me and nothing else. But if you can't do that, then just try to seriously practice bhakti as it's been given by the parampara. And so likely all of us in this call are at that stage that we are seriously trying to practice bhakti yoga as Srila Prabhupada has given it to us. And if we're doing that, then we're following Krishna's instructions, and we can gradually work up to this stage of always thinking of Krishna in this way. Ananyas chintayanto mam, thinking of nothing else. So we need to be faithful, be chaste in our concentration, also meaning that we are dedicating our consciousness to the instructions of our spiritual master. Srila Prabhupada said that his success was based on his dedication to the instruction of his spiritual master. And that's what kept him going. And he saw everything that happened, all of the success that he had was simply due to his spiritual master's blessings through his instructions. So we should concentrate our minds on the instructions of Srila Prabhupada and our spiritual masters. So when we come to Srimad Bhagavatam class in the morning, if we do reading throughout the day or hear lectures, go to festivals, anytime we're given the opportunity to hear the eternal message of Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, Chaitanya Charitamrita, then we should be very faithful and fix our mind as much as we can. Try to push ourselves to hear with great attention, if possible, to take notes and reflect on what we've heard, to uncover the doubts that prevent us from going further. If we're hearing and we're feeling complacent, then in my experience, doing these things helps a lot. Taking notes during a class, or listening with the intention of asking a question at the end of class, or listening with the intention of finding a meaningful instruction to carry you throughout the day. Because Srimad Bhagavatam is Krishna himself. And so Krishna has a specific lesson for each of us. So when we're here in Srimad Bhagavatam class, then we should listen. What is that specific thing that Krishna wants to tell me today? And in this way, we can be faithful. And we can also discuss Bhagavatam class with others. You can engage in the discussion during this time here or afterwards, discussing it with those in your life, friends, family, co-workers. And it will be a fun challenge to use the right language to connect with your audience. So maybe you're with coworkers and there's an opportunity to insert a little bit of knowledge you've heard in the Bhagavatam class, but you might have to do it in an indirect way, or you'll have to use your intelligence. But I've experienced this and it's a fun challenge. It feels like being a secret agent trying to inject the message of Srimad Bhagavatam into the minds of the souls in this world. Srila Prabhupada said that we should, what word did he use? We should rack our brains to try to figure out how to share this Krishna consciousness practice, the teachings of Bhagavatam, with the people of this world. So, dear assembled devotees, I really appreciate the opportunity to share some thoughts on this verse. I will request some of you here to share thoughts and questions, reflections, and look forward to a discussion with all of you. Hare Krishna. We'll have some open mic time now.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you so
Hare
much for
Krishna,
the
Pranana Prabhu.
class. I really appreciated the first point that you mentioned in the class, in the second paragraph that Prabhupada said, that if you don't have the first one, then you emphasize really on the second part, which is seriously engage in bhakti. If you don't have that first opportunity of taking birth in a pious family. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Yeah. Yes, so we can get inspiration from whatever our situation is. If we get caught up in lamenting, oh, what a low birth I have, I could have had better opportunities. We might be a bit envious of someone born in a more optimal situation. Or even we might be envious of someone else's position that, oh, some people, their families become devotees, or they're able to work from home, or they have their own business and they can take off days on festival days. But whatever our position is, then we do our best, and then we can take inspiration and say, all right, because my situation is less favorable, then let me practice twice as hard. Let me, even if I can't put in twice as much time, put in twice as much effort, increase the quality of my practice. When I sit down to chant my japa, when I sit down to hear Bhagavatam class, let me try to double my attention because I'm in a less fortunate situation.
Jai.
This is actually what Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj said. He would do intense austerities. He would sleep very little. He would eat almost nothing, go distribute books all day long, and eat just a little bit in the evening. And Kalakanta Prabhu was telling me this because he traveled with Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj in a van for some time. And Maharaj would say, with all humility, you'd say, I need to do this because I'm so fallen. So in the mood of Bhakti Tirtha Swami, we can do this. Try extra hard to make up for our lackings. Thank you, Prananath Prabhu.
Hare
So
Krishna
who else?
Prabhuji.
Yes.
Yeah,
So,
very nice class. Very nice class.
Hare Krishna
I
Mataji.
loved all your points. And I really liked when you said that when we do the bhakti, Gyan automatically comes. Because I think God guides you. And when you love Krishna, we love other people and his creation. I like those points very much. And you mentioned a shloka from Gita that Krishna preserves what you have and provides what you need. So that is also I experience in my practical life. And so we should always be satisfied. So thank you for reminding this sloka also. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mother Suman Sharma, for reflecting those points. Yeah, it's nice to hear the same points again. It helps them go deeper. Krishna is just so kind. That's what I love to remember, especially in chapter 9 of the Gita. Krishna makes it very clear that you do your best and he will help in every possible way. And then in chapter 10, like you were saying, he will give the knowledge to those who are practicing bhakti sincerely. He will guide us from within. There's an amazing verse actually related to this one. This is in the 11th canto. And chapter 2, I don't know who's speaking here. I think it might be Narada Muni speaking to Vasudeva. He says, O king, one who accepts this process of devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead will never blunder on his path in this world. Even while running with eyes closed, he will never trip or fall. What an amazing analogy. Just think of that visual. Even while running with eyes closed, he will never trip or fall. And in the purport, HG Goswami is quoting Sridhar Swami. And he says, closing our eyes means being in ignorance of the Vedic knowledge. So maybe we feel ourselves lacking. Maybe we feel, I don't fully understand the teachings of Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita. And I wish I understood them more. If I understood them more, I'd be a better devotee. Yes, it's true. But if we are lacking in our knowledge, if our eyes are closed, then bhakti is so certain that we can run at full speed and never trip and fall. So we just develop this faith in Krishna that he will take care of whatever I need and let me, with full force, practice Tivrena Bhakti Yogena. With great effort, let me practice bhakti because Krishna will help me. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Other reflections? You all have realization in your hearts you have jewels of Krishna consciousness, please be kind and share them with the assembled devotees. Haribol, Dronacharya Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Brhat Mrdanga Prabhu. Very nice class. I noted a couple of the points you made. I thought they were very profound. I wanted to touch on the one that you were speaking about with regards to not using the Shastra as a weapon. And you said the key to that is having a compassionate heart. And to develop that compassionate heart, what is required? How does one develop that to be able to decipher between the application of the scriptures? And then I guess on the other side of it is, if we just have a compassionate heart but we don't have knowledge, or the scriptures guiding us, what could be potential consequences of that as well?
Thank you, Prabhu. Those are very thoughtful questions. I can share some, though I see Charya Prabhu is here. You yourself could answer this question so well. I'll just share a few thoughts and then kindly make up for my lacking. So, if we have knowledge without a soft heart, then we can hurt people. And how to develop that soft heart? Well, the practice of bhakti softens our heart, but we have to practice in the proper way. Because if we overemphasize renunciation, then it can make our heart hard. So maybe we're practicing bhakti, but we are really intensely practicing austerities in a way that's unhealthy and unsustainable and damaging our subtle and gross bodies. Krishna actually says in the Gita that austerity in the mode of ignorance is destructive to the body, and actually the word Prabhupada translates is tortures the body and the supersoul within. So we should be cautious not to overemphasize renunciation, and in this way harden our heart. But at the same time, we do need a good amount of austerity. If we indulge too much in sense gratification, then also we will just become attracted to material things more and more, and our heart will be soft for Maya. So we need to find a balance in our practice of austerity, in our practice of abstaining from sense gratification. It's just like salt. We shouldn't have too much or too little. And then if we associate with devotees who are soft-hearted and who care about us, that's my experience, then they will win our hearts. They will show us that even if we are acting in the wrong way, even if we have so much pollution in our consciousness, they will show affection and they'll pierce through our hard heart and melt it. So for me, that's been the most powerful method of developing gradually a softer heart, is taking the association of those with soft hearts and trying my best to serve them and hear from them. And then you asked about if we have a soft heart, but we have lacking knowledge. So yes, we can become sentimental, and in the name of doing good, we can get distracted and get over-focused on mundane things. Maybe focus too much on environmental activism or social activism or racial activism or whatever it might be. And these things are good, but for someone practicing bhakti, like Maharaj Bharat, he got distracted by a deer. He had a soft heart and was lost in his affection for a deer. and it degraded him in his next life to a deer body. So we definitely should be cautious to know where to direct our affection. If we have a soft heart, then we need to have it balanced with proper direction. And so we can do that by taking guidance from those who have the knowledge while we are lacking, and seriously study to make sure that we have that knowledge. These are some thoughts, Dronacharya Prabhu. Those are very thoughtful questions, really stimulating, and I'd love to hear other responses if there are, perhaps from yourself.
Thank you for that answer. I appreciate that very much. It's definitely a very conscious effort. You know, you just have to be very conscious at all times, not to kind of flop one way or the other. One, to become, you know, radical in the implementation of teachings that may not be beneficial, you know, to the extent that we may view them to the people that we're speaking to. And on the other hand, like a doctor has to know how to prescribe medicine, and the type of medicine for the patient, you know, it requires some, you know, some intelligence, you know, refined intelligence, and that is gotten through the scriptures, through the association of advanced devotees, and reflection, experience, sometimes learning the hard way. No, thank you for bringing up these points. It's very good for me in particular, as well as this group to contemplate upon.
Thank you, Dronacharya Prabhu. It also reminds me of chapter 18 in the Gita. Krishna is explaining the different modes of nature and how one has knowledge in the different modes. And for one who is in the mode of ignorance, they see one kind of work as the all in all, without knowledge of the truth, and which is very meager. So it's very small-minded to think that one way is the only way. That I have some knowledge and I know everything. This is the way things are, very black and white. It's a meager type of knowledge. So we should develop broad-mindedness and consider multiple perspectives at the same time and try to understand how and when, where they're relevant. So thank you, Dronacharya Prabhu. Any last question, reflection from the devotees here? Well, thank you all for your kind attention. I'm honored to be in your virtual association, at least. And I hope you all have a wonderful day. I hope that Srimad Bhagavatam will stay in your heart and will help you to remember Krishna throughout the day and help others come closer to Krishna as well. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.
Hare
Shri
Krishna.
Radha Sharad Bihari ki jai.
Okay.
Bye.